Good evening. On behalf of the governing body of the City of Passaic, we welcome you to the September 7, 2023 City Council meeting. In accordance with Chapter 231 Public Laws of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting was provided by resolution of the Municipal Council adopted on June 13, 2023, setting forth the schedule of meetings for the year 2023-2024. Said notice was published and posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board by the Office of the City Clerk. Please be further advised, due to COVID-19, this meeting will be in person and virtual stream via Zoom. Public notice and instructions for this meeting were published in the Herald News and posted on August 4th, 2023 on the City of Passaic website, www.cityofpassaic.com, council agendas. Instructions are also available on the last page of this agenda. Please be guided accordingly.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Schwartz,
Present.
Councilman Garcia,
Present.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Present.
and Council President Scheer.
Present. Should we all please rise? Mayor?
Sure.
Thank you.
Blessed are you, O Lord, King of the universe, creator of the heavens and the earth. We give you glory and give you thanks for this day, for the fact that each and every one of us woke up today. If that alone is all that we would identify, it's reason enough to give you glory. We ask that you would guide us in this meeting to give us the wisdom to know what is right, the compassion and the drive to follow through on those things that would most honor you and better serve all the residents of this great city. We pray all these things in your glorious name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Members of the council, Mayor, thank you all for your attendance this evening, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining with us either here or virtually. If you don't already have, you can receive a copy of tonight's agenda. It is available to you on the internet. Through that, you can receive all of the resolutions, communications, proposed ordinances, etc., that the council will be entertaining this evening. Those materials that you have available to you on the internet, in fact, represent the materials that the council has been given by the administration in order for the council to make decisions affecting this great city. Again, we suggest, if you would like a copy of the agenda, to please go on the internet. At this time, we're up to Roman numeral 4 of our agenda. Mayor's update. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, members of the City Council. Thank you to the residents and all those who are here with us. I'm going to make an abbreviated version of my report, but I do want to share, and I understand that we were off for a greater portion of August, as we typically have one meeting during the month. But throughout the month of August, we celebrated National Night Out again. I want to commend the police department, fire department, all our emergency responders who participated in once again allowing the community to really connect and engage with our officers, our firefighters. There was a remarkable event. It's celebrated throughout the nation, but I admit that I have a preference for the activities within our city. I think we do it best, and I was so very proud of everyone who worked so hard. Our New Jersey Motor Vehicle Center had their mobile agency on wheels, once again providing services in the most convenient manner to our residents right here at City Hall. I want to extend my gratitude to Assemblyman Scheer, who also serves as council president in his role. In partnership with the city, we were once again able to provide these services to residents who often can't make it out to motor vehicles because of extenuating circumstances, or sometimes just the lines are very long. It's a lot easier to do it right here within the city. I also want to remind people that we officially named Tom Sabbath. The designation was done at Third Ward Memorial Park. Tom Sabbath was the owner of the hot dog truck for many decades. I mean, throughout the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. Many of us have fond memories of getting chili dogs or regular dogs, but he also sold ice cream. The reason why we honored him wasn't necessarily because of the hot dogs, but because of his efforts as he extended services to youth when they didn't have money. When individuals couldn't afford, he would provide food for free and ice cream, as well as he had accommodated during the holidays to ensure whether one was vegetarian or had specific restrictions that there were alternative foods. His sensitivity to the diversity of our community made a difference. And though many of the individuals in the city would refer to the area as Tom Saba, it was never ever officially designated. So I utilized the opportunity to designate the area, and it was officially designated now forever on record. We brought the car show back to the city of Passaic, working along with Will Smith. It was a recreation program directed by Recreation and funded, but working along with leaders like Will Smith, we were able to bring an amazing and extremely successful car show to Third Ward Memorial Park. Once again, the youth of our community came out. They got to see vintage cars, get in, and it was a wonderful family event. Today, we are presently holding our family festival at Third Ward Memorial Park. That's the third one this year, an initiative that we started under my administration to ensure that we can engage as many of the youth as possible. The first one was at Pulaski Park downtown. Just a few weeks ago, we had our family festival at school number 11, and now the one at Third Ward Memorial Park, closing out the summer and going right into the beginning of the school year. We also had our Passaic Fire Youth Academy featured in the news. It is an amazing and remarkable initiative where children get to experience what it's like to be a firefighter. It's a camp. We do the same with our Junior Police Academy. And I'm very excited because next year I have put forth an initiative to host a week for children with special needs. Children on the spectrum, children that have autism, young children, so they can participate. Often it's the case that many of these programs in municipalities are open to children, but not necessarily conducive to all children. They're welcoming, but they're not always conducive. And we're going to ensure that we provide services, wraparound support to have more inclusivity in our approach. We also have the grand opening for our Army National Guard, the very first ever in the history of the city of Passaic, right on Howe Avenue, next to our assemblyman's office. We were excited to see that occur with the partnership in our community. We hosted our book bag drive where we had hundreds of youth show up and receive free book bags and supplies, working in collaboration with different organizations as well as with our recreation. We begin collecting immediately when the school year begins, preparing for the next school year. So we are very excited to provide these book bags. We also want to commend the Housing Authority. Ms. Renee Griggs is here. She was present at Aspen, along with CAPS and other organizations that provided additional book bags in these areas. So we are very grateful to all the organizations, many of the faith-based institutions and different agencies came together to help out our kids. We know that it is impossible to do it alone. So we must work as a team with different organizations, leaders, and institutions to make a difference in our city. We also had our family camp out at Spear Village. It was a huge success. Assemblyman Sayers' office was aware, but our council president was specifically excited about the camp out, as were all of the council members. We had the first one at Third Ward Memorial Park. Miss Renee Griggs was there at the camp out. I was surprised. She stood out the whole evening. Kudos to her and the kids and everyone that participated. There were games and there was a fire. They did s'mores. It was just a remarkable experience and an effort to expose our children to initiatives and programs that perhaps they otherwise wouldn't have access to. Our next one is going to be at 6th Street, right at Pulaski Park. So these are the very first ever. I admit I wanted to do the camp out because when I was a kid, I never got to camp out. So I presented this initiative because not everyone has the means to do it. So I figured let's bring it to our children. I really enjoyed the Third Ward one because we got to go fishing and we stocked the lake. But at the other side at Aspen, we had the individual dressed as a bear. They came out and took the pictures. We did movie night. We had the food and the burgers. I want to thank the firefighters and the police that were there with us, and we're going to do the same. I will share publicly on the record, it is my desire to do 3 each year. I know that doing one is wonderful, but sometimes kids don't have access, and the conveniency for the parents, or the convenience for the parents in proximity to their residence to just look out the window and see their children. So I want to make sure that we have three each here, one at Third Ward because it's just more conducive for the fishing, some of the other outdoor activities at Aspen Place, and as well as Sixth Street. But our goal is to try to align the Sixth Street one with the Katie Johnson Day, so we can make a whole day of honoring the legacy and memory of Miss Katie Johnson. I know, Council President, you served on a few boards with her, and closely as did Councilwoman Maritza Colon Montañez and Councilman Joe Garcia. Our concerts in the park, we have one more left, which is a symphony, but they have been huge successes. At number 11 school. We've also had them at Third Ward, at Pulaski Park. I'm so very excited that this year we have been able to incorporate jazz and soul as well as rock. And we did a few tributes to the 150th anniversary of the city by covering music from the 20s all the way up. We began the music concerts this year with our students. It was our kids. We did a whole honoring of the Shirelles. We went from 1910 all the way up to 2020. I will admit I was a bit fond of the 80s and the 90s just because we were able to have our kids who learn instruments do a little bit of the music that I grew up on. And it was kind of interesting to see some of the classical instruments interpret some of the hip hop songs that I was familiar with. But the kids did an amazing job, and it was very exciting, especially when they were very old school. But they did a wonderful mixture of sometimes going from a song, Mozart, composed by Mozart, and then jumping right into a traditional, maybe ballad, and then going all the way from soft rock to early hip hop and just all over. And I want to say kudos to Ms. Lala Latasha Castello, who heads the music department, for her efforts, and all of the instructors in the music department. I also want to say that the county is going to have a hazardous waste collection. This is important to our residents and everyone because sometimes you're trying to figure out where do I throw out the paint or the liquids or things that I'm not allowed to throw out in the garbage. When the county does the hazardous waste right here at City Hall, you can drive up or walk up and get rid of it for free. You don't have to pay. You can come with your whole car full, a truckload, whatever you have, and you can get rid of it with no questions asked. We put up the signs while you're driving around. You're gonna see the big yellow signs right in front of City Hall, right in front of Main Ave. We've been doing these for the last few years with the county. As many know, I was your former commissioner on the county. These partnerships are extremely beneficial to our residents because it can become extremely costly to dispose of these items, and you can't do it on the sidewalk. It's illegal, but on this initiative day on the weekend, you can just walk up or drive up and get rid of the items then. Also, I wanted to share that on the first International Overdose Awareness Day, our Congresswoman of the 11th District, Mikey Sherrill, announced a grant that will benefit United for Prevention, a county prevention program here in the city of Passaic. Our Passaic Coalition, which represents the county portion of that agency, works with the Mayor's Youth Council to push forward substance abuse initiatives. I met with the Congresswoman recently, and our assemblyman met with her, and we're very excited for future initiatives that will benefit working in collaboration with our different congressional representatives in the federal government. I also wanted to share that our 9/11 ceremony held on 9/11 right here Monday will be at City Hall, run by our Deputy Mayor, Minnie Hitler Cousins. It begins at 9/11 in the morning. 9/11 in the morning, we honor our firefighters, our police officers, emergency responders, and families, as well as remember those who fortunately lost their lives to this tragic and most horrific terrorist attack. We also have breast cancer awareness walk and months here in the city of Passaic. I want to announce that our Benson Court tennis court will be completed next week, as well as the parking lots are open. But I wanted to share that if you walk by there now down Benson, I had instructed our DPW to get some of the maple trees after doing the study to realize that the maple trees are the most absorbent of water, and had them plant them right down against the rail going all the way down the McDonald Brook. This serves two purposes. One, it increases the number of trees in our city. We have presently planted over 600 trees in the last 3 years in our city. I'm extremely excited about that. But for a practical purpose, and as I always say, we take a pragmatic approach to government. It's going to assist us to mitigate flood concerns in the area during flash storms. It's extremely important because we have unfortunately lost two individuals to a flash storm and flooding in the area, and one individual that went through the brook and ended up in the Passaic River. Some of the approaches that we've taken, adding inlets or storm drains, as well as adding the trees, reinforcing the railings with brand new continuous railings that cannot break off. We are very excited about these initiatives and continue to work with the DEP and the state to see what other measures we can take to address these safety issues. There are a number of fundings that I can share, but we recently received an additional, we were awarded because of the work in Passaic, an additional $15 million for our main avenue bus terminal right there on Passaic Avenue. We already have state-of-the-art technology that's going to be added where you can check on your phone the exact moment that the bus is going to arrive, Council President. And on top of that, we have been awarded the Governor's Prize for the state of New Jersey for Dignity House. As a unique project, as a resource center, we are the only ones in the state that have moved forward an initiative of creating resource centers with mailboxes, as well as showers, as well as haircut opportunities and laundry services. We are told that many cities are now going to try to emulate or perhaps follow in that model, and the award will be given on September 29th in Atlantic City for the entire city of Passaic. There are many things that don't go perfect, but so much that is going well, and we are excited and proud to be able to highlight them and share them with the community. Council President, members of the City Council, residents of the City of Passaic, that is the extent of my report. If I may add on a personal point of privilege and one that perhaps impacts all of us, our Councilwoman Tanya Miller, who could not make it here, unfortunately had an emergency with her child, went to the hospital. I asked everyone, please keep her child in prayer. Reverend McKinney's brother-in-law also passed away, and I ask that you keep the McKinney family in your prayers. Individuals in our city that have contributed and impacted our communities so positively, and the loss or emergencies are a regular part of life. And your well wishes, your thoughts, your supports, and your phone calls go out and make a huge difference. With that stated, my time here will be brief as I have some obligations that I wanted to stick around and answer any questions and of course be present to the public. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you as always for the extent and for the depth of the presentation, and perhaps even more important is the depth of the presentation. There's so many things that are occurring, that are going on all over the place, and that's all your initiation. That's all your drive and ambition to improve the city, and it's being met in every corner of this great place, certainly.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for the mayor? With the council's permission, we're going to Roman numeral 5 on our agenda, minutes of July 6th and July 19th. Are there any comments or questions or changes that need to be made to either July 6th or July 19th city council meetings? Seeing no lights at this time, is there a motion please to accept July 6th and July 19th council meeting minutes? Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. We are up to Roman numeral 6 on our agenda, hearing of citizens. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-1 at SEC, the council opens every public meeting for comments of the public. However, in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12, nothing in this act shall be construed to limit the discretion of the public body to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation at any meeting. Therefore, please be advised that the council will not entertain any comments from persons who communicate obscene material, make statements which are considered bias intimidation, in which a person intends to intimidate any individual or group because of race, color, religion, gender, handicap, sexual orientation, or ethnicity, or makes comments intending to harass or speak any offensive language. The person who makes these statements will relinquish their allotted 5 minutes for public discussion. We welcome comments of those individuals who are with us in City Hall chambers tonight, as well as at home. If you are at home and you would like to call into the meeting, let me share with you the information for you to do just that. We ask you to call the following number, 929-436-2866. That's 929-436-2866, and enter the meeting ID number 898-9261-2341. That's 898-9261-2341, and please press 9 if you would like to speak. Those are numbers once again, ladies and gentlemen, 929-436-2866, and please enter the meeting ID number 898-9261-2341, and press star 9 to indicate that you would like to speak. When you are on cue, our municipal clerk or city clerk will inform us, and we will hopefully do things in the appropriate order. Everyone is limited to 5 minutes and 5 minutes only. And the council may or may not respond depending on how it feels to anyone who is giving testimony. Is there anyone who'd like to address the council at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Renee Griggs, and I live at 23 Aspen Place, apartment 6C. First of all, I came on behalf of the residents of Spear Village. We wanted to give a couple of thank yous. First of all, we would like to thank Passaic Bravers, our fire department, for coming out during August 26th at our community book bag giveaway and school supply for those delicious hot dogs and hamburgers they distributed out in the community. And then to the Passaic Finest, the PBA, thank you for the ice cream truck that you sent out that stirred up my community that I had to go out and regulate. They did, in all entities, they didn't turn anyone away, and we were very pleased. And it was a combination of a full day, yes, to one of my organizers and supporters in the audience. Raise your hand, Ms. Ernestine Tina Jackson, that helped put those things together. I don't do it by myself, but I am still the spokesperson. And we did have the community person, Jermaine Gibson Williams, and our new resident commissioner, Henry Rose Jr., also the president of the Coaches Association of Passaic, that came out. And we did a workshop with anti-bullying, computer safety. We had Verizon came out and offered free internet service for parents that didn't have internet access in their homes. And it was for safety. So many people, my brother Scott back here, talked about inappropriate things on the internet and merely made the children very conscious and aware of the things they post. Now, getting back to the mayor and that sleep out. Yes, I stayed out all night with my grandson, Sabor, my great-grandson, Shaquille. It was a pleasure. Laying down, going to sleep was easy. Getting up the next morning was hard. He did inform me I should get a foam mattress. I won't be doing that next year. And I want to say this. It was a nice day, a combination of all the things going around. And not only were we able to bless families that live at Aspen Place, but also our surrounding community. I would like to thank also the city clerk's department that always worked with me in making sure we are on point with permits, timelines, and coordinate us with the departments that we need to. It was a good day for Spear because, like I said, I did say 2003. The mayor reminded me it's 2023. I think that day I was tired. I was 20 years behind. But we were also Spear Village celebrating 70 years of existence. So that was a wonderful day. May I have a request by so many kids? So you started something you might not want to, you can't stop. They want that big TV screen back out there. Okay. The kids that could not come outside or parents thought it was too late for them to be outside, many watched from the window. Many watched from our patio. Many watched from other areas of the complex. So we were very happy. And everybody was surprised. I was really into that movie. I DVR'd that movie when I went home. So we thank you. And once again, I just got one thing. Sometimes the turnout is not always what we want it to be. Please communicate and interact more with the residents because we are the one that you're providing the service for. And maybe we could give you some help and hint. I told you, Ms. Jackson over there, you don't always have to contact Ms. Renee, you can contact Ms. Tina and other members of the community. But once again, to the fire department and the police department, thank you so much. It was greatly appreciated by all of those who partake. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Griggs.
Council President, if I may, we'll make a commitment to bring the big screen out for the fall. We'll do another movie, a special one out there for the kids. And then Council President,
Ms.
if
Griggs,
The
Ms.
Harvest Festival will be
Ms.
good, the
Griggs,
Halloween event.
Ms. Griggs, you know the rules.
Council President, and we went through housing, just to put on the record, they put the flyers on each door, but we will do more outreach, especially with the resident leaders. And Ms. Griggs brought something up that I think would be great to share, an additional fact. Housing is celebrating its 70th anniversary. School number 11 this year is celebrating its 100th anniversary. Its 100th anniversary. So many who went to school number 11. So Passaic is celebrating the 150th. Spear Village is the 70th year, and school number 11 is celebrating 100th year. So it is the year of anniversaries. So I want to put that on the record. Reverend Davison will be leading a historic commission working with community leaders to do a celebration with the city of Passaic, helping to honor that 100th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
We have one person on the Zoom with their phone number ending in 0035.
You're on the line if your phone number ends with 0035. If your phone number ends in 0035, please share with us your name.
Hi, good evening. My name is Joseph Wolf. You hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I would like to ask, one of the ordinances up for tonight is ordinance 54. I'm sorry, 52, to sell real property to a developer, New Jersey. I couldn't find anywhere in the documents that the city uploaded any reference to what's being developed here, who's buying the property, besides for the
Mr.
price.
Wolf,
And I
Mr.
want
Wolf,
to ask,
forgive me, could you tell us which ordinance you're talking about?
52.
52. Okay, I'm sorry, sir, please.
Yeah. So I just want to ask, is it possible that the city council could either, address this, just what's this about? And if they don't have clarity, because I couldn't find clarity online on the city website, maybe this can just be rewritten in a more clear fashion. It's not a small thing that the city's selling real estate. Obviously, the developer needs it for something, but it doesn't say what they need it for. It doesn't say, we know why the city has it, but it doesn't talk about who's buying it, and it doesn't tell us why they're buying it and what their development is about at all. That's my first thought.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I also want to bring up, and I guess I'll have the chance to talk about it because it's up for final reading. The city is talking about entering into a financial agreement with a 101 7th Street Urban Renewal LLC. At the last meeting, the city commissioner assured this council that they do everything in their power to make sure that the city doesn't lose too much money on the tax pilots long term, because these tax pilots go for so many years. Everyone knows that their property taxes go up by a certain percent every year. Let's just say 3%. If you compound that, that means that in 14 years, everyone in the city of Passaic that pays property taxes is paying 1.5 times what their base is, and anyone that enters into agreement, these agreements are based on flat fees, meaning construction costs or the revenue. And the city commissioners assured this council that they do everything they can to make sure there's no fun and games going on. The cost of putting up these buildings includes the land cost. what is not mentioned over here and what's totally omitted and what's contrary to what the commissioner assured this council 1 month ago, this property was sold to this LLC for $0 on April 29th, 2015. Prior to that, it was purchased by the person that sold it, by the LLC that bought it, for $3.5 million. Obviously, the value has gone up over the past since they bought it, since Styler bought it. But they sold it to 101 7th Street Urban Renewal LLC for $0. So from the get-go, out the door, this council is possibly committing to a long-term 35-year tax agreement based on costs of putting up a building that costed no money to purchase. It's total fraud. It's totally against everything that would encompass what this council was assured a month ago, that we don't allow monkey business with the cost of construction, that we audit everything, that we look at everything because we don't want to be screwed, because every development, including this one, brings a lot of cost to the city. And even though it's in one part of town, everyone in all the wards of Passaic, all 7 wards, have to foot the bill for the additional cost of this kids going to school. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. As I'm sure you're aware, 52 is a proposed ordinance for introduction and first reading. It is set for consideration for second and final reading on September 19. We welcome you and other members of the public who have concerns about any ordinance to voice their concerns when the ordinance is being heard, either initially or for second and final reading. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council, please?
We have Ari Mack on.
Yes, sir.
Joe Conoscenti, 170 Broadway. Council President, the new ordinance on vendors. So far, they're doing a pretty good job, but there's one problem we have. You need the health department to come out because there's a lot of food carts, like shopping carts, going around the city. And they're going around the schools, selling pastries and selling different foods out of their home. Like I said, you need the health department to come out. Like to get something on that. My next question, can the executive director of UEZ explain the portable sign blocking sidewalks in front of businesses? Tripping hazards, weather hazards, and also supposed to have permits. These are those small A signs in front of every business that have a business sign on top. So in the ordinance, they're supposed to have permits to have those little signs. When you get a wind, you get a rain or snow, those things are blowing all over. People can get hurt and everything, and they're popping up everywhere, all over the city. My next question is, it's been brought up several times on Irving Place off of Broadway. That one side of the street is a no parking. Last year, they put up a sign in the middle of the block, and you got all the cars parking near Broadway near the corner. So how are they supposed to read that side of the street of no parking? So this is like 7 days a week. You got like 10, 15 cars, and now you're getting homeowners doing the same thing, parking on the sidewalk. So something needs to be done with that one. Also, I've been bringing up 147, 149 Broadway. Now you have growth issue. It's blocking the sidewalk, high weeds, high bushes, all the garbage in back of the building. Like I said at a couple of meetings already, I don't know how this owner is getting away with this. You know, he should be fined. Something should be done with this. Because if it was anybody else, it'd be fined. My next question, the executive director of Parking Authority. Has anyone looked into the parking meters, finding out that the meters do not match with the app on the time. So in other words, the meter could say no time, and you go on the app, and you still got 15 minutes. So I'm just wondering if anybody checked into that. Christopher Columbus Park, my number 11 school. You had a baseball field. I noticed, I don't know if they're from the school or they're outside people, but you got these groups playing soccer, baseball. Is there any permits? And you got the same thing going in Third Ward Park, the baseball field. They got these teams popping up almost every day. And the question is, do they have permits to play? These are my questions I have.
Mr. Constantine, you'll forgive me. I pride myself on having some knowledge of the English language. I heard several statements from you on several different topics, and some of them very interesting, of course, but I didn't hear any question.
What? I didn't understand what you said.
What I'm saying is you made declarative statements. You didn't ask any questions.
Well, these are all questions that I have.
Well, sir, we appreciate your time very much. Thank you.
So you can't answer me.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. I'll be back.
Who's on the telephone, please?
Mr. Ari Mack.
Good
Mr. Mack.
evening. I'd like to address the council with a couple things. My first question is, as the holiday season begins, I'd like to request more police enforcement in certain areas, like, for example, the Third Ward area, as the holiday season begins, for concerns of different safety concerns. Second, I would like to ask about the investigation regarding Van Houten Avenue. Recently, also, there's been a teenager that was hit by a vehicle on Ridge Avenue by the park, and I saw that I went to the Thursday night concert, and thank you to the mayor for having the New Jersey Department of Crossing and Pedestrian, and a number of people did the survey, and I find it very useful. And God willing, we will have something regards to that, because this I've seen Passaic grow in many ways, including our 150 years of anniversary, and I'm pretty sure over those 150 years, Passaic has gone amazingly growth, and I want it to continue in amazing ways. And with our mayor, thank you very much for doing what we can do for safety, for our cleanups, everything. And I thank everyone on the city council and even behind the scenes. Thank you so much. And that's my statement for tonight.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Would anyone like to address the council at this time? Yes, sir.
Good evening, John Willis, homeless. I just want to ask the mayor what happened to the electricity in Braggs Park.
Mr. Willis, I'm sorry. As you may or may not be aware, if you could direct all questions to me, and I will then ask the mayor. If I could also ask you a little bit farther from the microphone, it's hard to understand you. Could you please?
The electricity at Braggs Park been cut off. The last council meeting, We had a discussion right after that. Then the following day, no electricity at Braggs Park. All right, that's it. I'm not gonna go too far in. I had a long day today. I'm tired. So that's it. Just if we can do something about the electricity at Braggs Park, please.
Mr. Fernandez, are you aware of no electricity
You
in
know,
that area? Or is there things under construction or to be under construction that are taking us away from that at this point?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've had these discussions for a while regarding the park and the upgrades that will end up happening to the park. I'll have to look into exactly what the issue
I
is.
would assume when the upgrades take place, there's going to be lights and electricity and all that.
Oh, it's extensive. I'll let the mayor.
I believe the lights are on the park, around the park.
excuse me, sir. You said direct all questions to you.
To me, please, yes.
So
I'm sorry.
if
Council
I got to
President,
deal with,
believe
I
he's
got a
under
million
the
and one
impression
questions
that
for the mayor.
He may be under the impression that the
Mr.
emergency.
Mr. Willis, you asked a question. I'm trying to get an answer for you.
Council
I'm sorry.
President, no, it's fine. And members of the public sometimes don't know how the engagement works from the day it's an elected office, and I understand that. Council President, what I'm referring to is the lights around the area do work. Electricity is on. They may be referring to the work that's going to be done on the actual property, perhaps lighting that was provided for the trees, for the Christmas tree lighting, or for the ballards. I believe that, as was mentioned, Bragg Park, and so much attention was brought up to the area, that there was a study with engineering to see how we can expedite the process to ensure that the work is done there, and the order came in terms of the design and the intended plans for the future. But I do not believe any of the lighting around the area, PSC&G, but I will instruct staff and engineering to please reach out to PSC&G to ensure that all of the lights, especially impacting safety and quality of life, are working on the poles. Ensure that any necessary services that are provided at Bragg Park, that they are updated and taken care of. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, ma'am. Anyone else like to address the council, please? Anyone on the phone at this point?
No, sir.
There being no hands, is there a motion to close public hearing? Motion, is there a second, please? Motion and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman
Council President, I
Garcia.
believe a gentleman
Yes.
would like to speak.
We've been asking.
So,
Actually, sir, it's whatever you would like it to be. It's your 5 minutes.
okay, all right, thank you. All right, I mean, I'd like to know how we're gonna combat crime, because poverty begets crime. The height or volume of poverty is met with an equal height or volume of crime. And for so long, you know, a lot of people feel comfortable with guilt and no shame. And then we claim religious groups or factions, not to think for a chance that a higher power that you believe in will not bring karma. That's a statement, but I just want to know how we combating crime and poverty in Passaic, because we can go so far, because we got so much, it's so small, but we can go so far worldly and whatever, because we have so much power and we have a lot of, you know, different people from everywhere. So I want to know actually how's we going towards the future to combat the things that's going on, poverty and crime, so it could be as one and not a separate divinity. That's it.
Sir, I thank you for the question, which I'll take as directed to myself as the president of the council. In terms of your question, I would invite you during any work day. The chief always makes himself available to have these kinds of conversations. The chief is obviously in charge of the police department. The mayor is, of course, the mayor. But we invite you to meet with the chief at any time of mutual convenience.
Okay, I mean, that sounds great. What is his name?
The chief's name? He's right over there.
Okay, Mr. Guzman. Yes, okay. Yes, I'll speak to you soon. All right. All right.
Council
And
President.
thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, good evening. My name is Shanti Asad. I'm here not to fight. I'm here to try to find a way to come together. You know, it was a lot of people who want to help. So I'm here to ask for help. We have a farm space near the workout park, which was recommended by the mayor. The space by the workout park was recommended by the mayor. We have plants growing there, but the space is struggling. I can't make enough money. I am a student at NJIT, so my time is limited. I'm also a single parent, so I try to just put my time into my schooling. We'll be done in October. Hopefully, I can allocate more time to agriculture. But as far as help, would like to ask for resources. We need soil, we need tools, we need gloves. We would like to do a community build. You guys keep saying that we need to come together, and I totally agree. I believe that all communities here in this community have something to say. I feel like every community member is important, and I think that we all need to like kind of try to step back and find a way to like understand each other now. When I started planting here in the city, it was never for, a fight. It was literally for peace and plants. I went to Montclair State University where I graduated with a degree in psychology. So I figured let's kick the mental health clinic and hop outside in nature. It's free. Also, I would also like to speak about pollution in the city. You guys said that you have initiatives that you have set forth. I also think that we should start a recycling program in the city that would sort of take some of the waste we have and recycle it into something else. For example, taking some of the food waste we have and turning it into compost or fertilizer. This is something that is educational and would, kind of reduce some of the waste we have here in the city. Same goes for plastics and, et cetera, et cetera. That's pretty much all I have on my agenda. One more thing, I see you guys are still going through with your, initiatives to take Carney Bragg Park. I did go to Carney Bragg's today. I was in touch with Carney Bragg's sister. I sent out an email. I mean, I'm not sure they're, you know, really in say of anything. I think everyone's confused and like, people are just throwing things out into the air, but nothing's really confirmed. So, I mean, I really would like to like revisit this further. I feel it should, be given a chance to be looked at further before you guys just, continue with your efforts because the community does have, something to say on the matter. But yeah, other than that, that's all. I just would like to ask for resources for the farm we have because it is struggling, soil, mulch, etc. I would like to do the community build together. Maybe grow some food together, eat some food together. I love what the city does. It's beautiful, but I mean, maybe if we put more heads together, it would be even more beautiful. And climate control, that's all. I would like to push that more. Climate control. We have to clean the city. It's no more blame. I don't think we should keep blaming each other. We have to stop that. We all look bad. We all live here. We all are a reflection of the city. Uh, that's all. Good evening. I mean, yeah. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you for your suggestions, ma'am. Very interesting. Very interesting. Anyone else like to address the council?
Porter. That would be my cane. My name is Scott Martin. I'm also known by Malachi Martin, but I greet you in my God name of sincerity, truth, equality, Islam, Allah. I greet you with peace, paz, and shalom alaikum. I want to address several issues or several statements that were incorrect in the last council meeting pertaining to older members and the elderly being afraid to visit Bragg Park. I myself, I have several pictures of some of the older members, not so much as elderly, but I do have some older members of the community out there enjoying the park on several days where it was humid and hot. I also have pictures of people out there having a spirited chess match. So I don't understand where this comes from. I also am striving to understand the concern over this plot. I mean, for several years, when I worked for the Recreation Department under the leadership of Dan Mecca, Dante Mecca Jr., and Mike Bonadice, this land wasn't even considered, no one knew who owned the land. The land it was a state, it was a city, no one knew who owned this land. And when they what's the word I'm looking for? When they requisitioned Green Acres to come in to do park cleanup, Green Acres was not allowed to touch that park because it was not part of the city program in the park. So Green Acres wasn't allowed to do anything with that park because that was one of the parks that they also wanted to clean up. I want to make sure I get everything out. You know, they talk about the crime and everything that's going on in that park and that the park is dirty. I myself can verify that that park is cleaned up every evening by sundown. I don't live in the city of Passaic per se anymore, but because I myself, when I come over to visit my family, when I come over to visit my mother, who still lives in the city of Passaic, who was a worker for the city of Passaic Head Start for 25 years and retired from Passaic, I have cleaned up that park with several park goers myself and made sure. Now, after dark, I could not tell you what goes on because I'm not in that park after dark. My problem with that is if it's so much concern, everyone knows most illegal activity, as what they say is going on up there, is done after dark. No one does anything in broad daylight. I mean, except if you're in New York, but no one does anything in broad daylight. Most crime is done after dark. Why aren't police officers or any type of surveillance being done after dark if you're so concerned about the crime? Another concern I had is with the recreation department. When I was a part of the recreation department, recreation was for everyone. The elderly, the youth who didn't play sports. We had fishing contests. We had chess matches, chess tournaments, art contests, photography contests. What happened to those things? I brought those things at one time to the recreation department, and I was dismissed and told, write it down and we'll see what you can do. We'll see what we can do. And the only one who listened to me at the time was a lady named Lizette, who currently works for the mayor now, but was working in the recreation department. She listened to me and she took down some of my ideas and she said she would try and implement them. And all I wanted to do was bring back, I have so much love for this city. It is beyond compare.
You have 1 minute, sir.
Thank you. And I just don't understand, you know, where it has gone. I will leave a transcript of this for you to go over because I didn't get everything out that I wanted to say. And I left my contact information if any of you would like to get in contact with me about some of those ideas. I thank you for the time and have a blessed evening.
To you as well, sir. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council?
I come in my rightful name, Supreme Allah, and lifelong residents of the state, and it'll be a blessing to die here. You know, I just got a couple of questions. I'm not here to fight with nobody, you know, because this is supposed to be a community, and if we divide it, it ain't no community. You know, but I do have some questions. I'm wondering why, you know, after like the brother said, the last council meeting, did the mayor take it personal to cut off the electricity in the park. And what the electricity I'm talking about is in the park that everybody used to come through. We used to plug up the radios. Now everybody come up there and park the bikes. So we didn't understand why did he do that. That's one question. Another question is, you know, why did we get that stigma that they put on us about being drug dealers and everything else? I got cameras up there because I'm quite sure if it was all that going on, it would have been recorded and something would have been done. It was a shooting up there. We were sitting in the park. After the shooting, don't you know all of us was traumatized? Then nobody offered us no type of help, but they quick to tell us something that we doing wrong. Now, a lot of issues have to do with mental health, you know, and in order to combat some of the things that's going on, I'm not here to say I can solve all the problems, but some of the problems, if you had a facility up there somewhere in the area that these people be at, that they can go in at night and be comfortable, we wouldn't have this at nighttime on the streets. You know, so all I'm here today is to try to figure out ways that we can work together. Me and the mayor did projects together, you know, and you know, for some reason, I feel, I don't know if it's the truth, but I feel once we had a disagreement, you became uh, the predator and I became the prey. You made me feel like that because, and the reason I'm saying this is because one day I'm in the park, the messenger comes up there and tells me that it's not a black park. And Calvin, this is not your park. Calvin is my government name. My rightful name is Supreme, first of all. Comes up there and say that. First thing it did was throw me for a loop because, you know, I never claimed the park or nothing. The only thing we try to do up there in the park is keep the park clean and comfortable. You know, for the ones that want to be out there during the hours that they able to be out there. Another thing, you know, y'all talk about the elders, and I'm tired of y'all not telling the truth on our elders. You know, last time when I left this council meeting, I went up there and I talked to all the elders that's lived up there for 45 years and better. Don't none of them have a problem. So every time I come up here, I'm wondering who are the ones that's out here complaining about what goes on in the park. Because like I said, I went from all the elders from Harrison Street all the way down to Highland Ave. And from Main Ave all the way up to Paulus. Don't none of them have it. So evidently it must be something made up somewhere about people complaining about things. And if we got so much money, like I said, I'm not here to fight. I'm just here to get some answers today. Maybe tomorrow I'll fight y'all. But today I need some answers. I need some answers to if we generated all this money for Bragg's Park, how could we spend the number $500,000 in that park? It's impossible. And then you're saying you're trying to generate some money for the VFW. What money is you generating for the VFW? Because you got $500,000 that you could take some of that money and do something with the VFW. You know, I understand that.
You have 1 minute, sir.
Yeah, okay. I understand that y'all, you know, as a community, we want things to be better. But as the mayor, you know, out of respect, you can come to the community and talk to us with your ideas, not enforce your ideas on us. All right, I'm ready.
If I have any lights on, I'll let you know. But thank you for your comments.
Right, I need the answers. I was asking you questions.
Well, the answers that you want are much larger and greater than can be entertained at this meeting. I would certainly suggest to you, number one, that you bring together some friends and neighbors who share your points of view, and perhaps something can be arranged to sit down and talk some of these issues through. But as you yourself said, they're so complicated and there's not enough hours right now at this meeting to address them.
So now I got to go back home again, feeling like the enemy, and not that we accomplished
Sir,
something
you are
as
not
a
the enemy.
community.
You are a colleague. You are a friend. You are an associate. You are a member of this community. This community is broad and deep, and we're so very proud of that. Your 5 minutes is up, sir. Thank you very much.
All right.
Anyone else like to address the council at this time? Anyone else like to address the council? Madam Clerk, is there anyone on the phone?
No, sir.
No, you can, no, you can only speak once. You can only speak once, sir. I'm terribly sorry. Is there a motion, please, to close public hearing?
There's a motion on.
There's a motion. Is there a second, please? Motion and second to close public hearing. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colom Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. We are up to Roman numeral 7 on our agenda this evening. Ordinances for second and final reading. Hearing is required. Number 1, proposed ordinance 2406-23, an ordinance adopting a redevelopment plan for blocks 1003, lots 6 and 20 in the city of Passaic, New Jersey, 1113 and 99-107 4th Street, introduced at the July 19th meeting. Is there a motion, please, to open public hearing? There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Move on second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colom Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, the council is entertaining proposed ordinance 2406-23. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on this issue and this issue only? Seeing no
We
hand,
have
would like
Mr.
to-
Wolf has his hand up.
excuse me, ma'am?
Mr. Wolf on Zoom.
Mr. Wolf, your hand is up. Yes, sir. Mr. Wolf?
Yes, thank you. I just had to unmute myself. Thank you, Council President. I just had to unmute myself. Thank you. I don't mean to hold you up longer than necessary tonight, but I do want to say that I've been attending planning board meetings.
I'm sorry,
wonderful-
sir. I'm sorry. Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry. The only discussion that we're allowed to have by law is on this ordinance and this ordinance only. Did you have any comments?
Yes,
on
I would
this?
like, yes. I would like to ask if the council members can please explain what's being proposed tonight on this. Number 1, what is being proposed, please? From the council, if the council can answer. Thank you.
I'm sorry, sir. Number 1, your question, please, is directed not to the council as a whole, but to me as its president. And what was your
Yes,
question?
can the council president, what is the redevelopment plan that is being proposed over here? What is currently there, and what is the development going to allow? What is the overall development plan looking to do?
The ordinance provides a redevelopment plan for the blocks, as you noted. If this is an attempt to modernize, to take down structures which are serving no purpose, and redeveloping the area as per the recommendations and suggestions of the planning board on several occasions. Did you have any other questions, sir?
If that's the answer, then I have no question. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
No, sir.
Very good. There was a motion to close public hearing?
No, not yet.
Is there a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, is there a second? Motion and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colom Montañez, and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. On the ordinance, is there a maker of the motion, please, to accept?
Move it.
Is there a second? Motion and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colom Montañez, and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. That was on the ordinance?
Yes, sir.
Number 2, please. Thank you, ma'am. Proposed ordinance 2407-23, an ordinance adopting a redevelopment plan for block 4062, lot 18 in the city of Passaic, New Jersey, corresponding to 162-164 President Street, introduced at the July 19, 2023 City Council meeting. Is there a motion, please, to open public hearing?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colom Montañez, and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. At this time, the council is deliberating proposed ordinance 2407. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on this matter and this matter only? Seeing no hands, is there a
Mr. Wolf
motion?
has his hand up again.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Mr. Wolf.
Mr. Wolf.
No, I never put it back down. I'm sorry. I did not want to ask about this. I'm sorry.
So you did not have any comments, sir? Okay. On 2407, seeing no hands, is there a motion, please?
Motion to close.
Motion, is there a second, please?
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Short,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. On the ordinance, is there a maker?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Short,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. Number 3, please. Proposed ordinance 2408-23, an ordinance adopting a redevelopment plan for Market Street redevelopment plan area. Various properties introduced at the July 19th City Council meeting. Is there a motion, please, to open public hearing?
Move it. Second.
Forgive me, it seems I'm only hearing the two voices when it comes to affirming on ordinances. Perhaps that could be expanded to include all members of the council. There is a motion to open public hearing. There is a second? Roll call, please, to open.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Short,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. On the ordinance, is there a maker, please?
We'll open
The
the
chair
public.
will make.
No, we just open.
We just opened. Mr. Wolf has
We
his
just
hand up.
opened.
Yes.
Sorry.
Mr. Wolf put his hand up now.
Mr. Wolf, you put your hand up. We are on number 3.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Wolf, your concerns and comments on number 3, sir.
Yes, thank you, Council President. I wanted to ask, how many blocks of Market Street does this redevelopment plan cover? I also want to ask, does this redevelopment plan have any, is it at the stage yet where they're deciding on parking requirements or not? I go down Market Street sometimes to downtown Passaic, and Market Street is a very, very, very tight street currently. The parking's tight. The pedestrian walkways are tight. There's a lack of lights on Market Street. It's very, very tight currently. And I'm wondering, what is tonight? What are we voting on tonight? What is the council voting on tonight?
Mr. Fernandez.
Thank you, Council President. So this is a redevelopment area that begins from Monroe Street and then goes all the way down Passaic Street and Wall Street, designating the what we call the Market Street redevelopment area. It is to complement the existing East Side redevelopment area. I'm happy that lighting was brought up. If anyone has been there very recently, we have brand new lights to light up the rest of the block, as well as over $1 million investment that's going to come as far as a Market Street streetscape. And this is to complement and add to the success that we've had with the Main Avenue redevelopment plan to continue the growth on our east side of town.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes, may I ask, yeah, does this development plan lay out yet, how high the stories of the buildings are going to be or anything like that? The density at all, or this is just redevelopment, and then later on it's going to be decided?
So it provides a guideline for development, and it would be on each property dependent on what they decide to do, that then goes to the planning board for their review as any other site plan would. So this just sets a guide with whatever uses, which is mixed use. We want to keep the commercial integrity of the Market Street area as well as residential above. It maximizes the number of units. It has parking requirements. It has more than just parking requirements. It has bike parking requirements, electric vehicle requirements. They're all within the plan.
Okay, so this development plan has requirements set in. Okay. Do we know? Can someone advise just how high the buildings on Market Street are planned to be, based on this development plan? How many stories high?
Excuse me, sir. That is available to you and any other member of the public from the time the packets are distributed to the council. If you have an opinion on something, I'll be happy to entertain that as required by law. However, this is not an informational session where the council or the administration is asked to provide answers which has already been stipulated and stated in materials provided to the council and to the public at large.
The problem is that when it's uploaded on Monday, at least the public, and then the city says any additional information needs an Oprah request that takes 2 weeks. It's just not enough time before.
You're not going to like my answer to your comment, but I need to give it to you nonetheless, and that is, I cannot entertain this line of questioning because it is not related to the ordinance itself. If you would like to discuss at some point the
Okay.
uh,
Okay,
the
can we just
problems
get that? Is that
in securing the
just
information, would be happy to have that, but this is not the forum. Did you have any concerns or questions on 2408?
no? Thank you. Thank you. Everything's good. Thank you.
Very good. Is there anyone else who is has any questions?
No, sir.
Very good. Is there a motion, please, to close public hearing? Move and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. On the ordinance, please, is there a maker?
Move it. Second.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. The ordinance passes?
Yes, sir.
Yes. We're up to number 4, please, 2409-23, an ordinance amending the designation of restricted parking for disabled persons by New Jersey license plate number. Is there a motion, please, to open public hearing?
Move it. To open.
Chair will second for purposes of a vote.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, the council is deliberating proposed ordinance 2408-23. If you would like to, please let us know if you would like to comment on this ordinance and this ordinance only. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, 3 Aspen Place, Apartment 6C. I was wondering, is this ordinance, is it going to allow more parking space or limited to what we have?
Ma'am, after just telling the person before, the bottom line is there will be the same amount of parking spaces from our last meeting to this meeting, and that is 409.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else like to speak to the issue? Yes, ma'am. No, you can only, that portion is closed. The issue right now is a proposed ordinance amending the designation of restricted parking for disabled persons. If there's no questions from anyone else, is there a motion, please, to close public hearing?
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call to close.
Councilman,
Please do continue the roll call.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. On the ordinance, is there a maker, please?
Move it. Second.
Move and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. Motion passes. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Number 5, please. Proposed ordinance 2410-23, an ordinance approving the application for a long-term tax exemption and authorizing the city of Passaic to enter into a financial agreement with 1017th Street Urban Renewal LLC for property identified on the official tax map of the city of Passaic as Block 1030, Lot 1, or 101 7th Street, Passaic, New Jersey. Is there a motion to open public hearing, please?
Move.
Move.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, the council is deliberating proposed ordinance 2410-23. If you would like to speak to this ordinance and this ordinance only, we would certainly welcome your comments.
Mr. Wolf has his hand up.
Mr. Wolf, you have your hand up. Yes, sir.
Thank you. This is just the last matter before everything else doesn't have public hearing. So if you could just hear me out. This is another pilot that the city, this is different than last city council meeting. This is for seemingly, I don't know, seemingly a residential project in the city in downtown Passaic, 101 7th Street. Like as stated, this project is absolutely going to bring costs to the city in terms of the shore. If I'm correct that this is residential, the school is going to need taking a lot more kids because of this, hopefully because if this project, if it's a good project. And last meeting, Councilmember Monk was saying how this, Commissioner Fernandez the City Finance Commissioner Fernandez has laid out how the city is actually going to get more money, at least initially, based on these pilots. What's not mentioned is that two things. First of all, whatever the costs are based on is the cost of redeveloping the property on day one, not 30 years later, not 15 years later. And while everyone's property taxes go up, this developer's possibly, his taxes could be locked in on a percentage based on what it costed him to develop this property 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. The second problem, I think, is that Councilmember Monk is not recognizing that right now the state gives a lot of money to the school, to the city. But we don't know if that's going to continue for 5 years, for 10 years. It might continue forever, but we don't know. And 30 years, 35 years is a really long time. 35 years down the line is more than a third of a century. That's a really long time. And it's one thing for a warehouse that doesn't bring any costs to the school to say, okay, we're going to lock out the school from getting money. But how can we say that we're going to allow a project that's for sure bringing school children to the schools? We're going to say, no, we're okay not getting any money for the schools. As long as the city overall gets more money, that's okay with us. And I want to read over here from O'Connor Davies, accountant advisors. They talk about how, initially the pilot used to be called the Fox-Lanza Act until 1991, when the state realized that they don't need to give such big incentives. They don't need to give 1 or 2% of the actual cost. They can raise it to 10%, to 20%. But at the same time, they lay out over here pitfalls of the pilot programs, and they stress over here. They stress over here that some developers structure a master lease with an affiliated entity to artificially lower the revenue.
Mr. Wolf, I've tried to be very patient with your remarks and give you as much latitude as I believe you deserve. But you are walking on soft ground at this point. You are giving us generalizations in terms of your beliefs and concerns, not on this specific project, but rather on other subjects, which are not relevant.
This project was, this project I mentioned before, but I want to say it over here at this hearing. This property was bought for $0 on April 29, 2015. And I'm asking the city council to ask the city commissioner before they approve this, to take a second look. If we're going to base our security on this program, on this tax pile, that at any way, at least we'll get the development costs, possibly the revenue, which takes a lot of auditing, and possibly the development costs, which the city can know. They can do a good audit up front, monitor the construction, and then they know they could put in their books for the next 35 years. But if they bought this project for $0, is the city possibly losing out on upwards of $350,000 or $700,000? Or this property is probably worth a lot more than it was. I only saw it was sold for $3.5 million many, many years ago to this previous seller. So this property is worth probably upwards of $10 million. And I'm asking, they only bought this for $0, meaning it was a close hand sale. It wasn't a market sale. So is the city possibly not getting the protection that would be in place on a regular pilot program? Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Fernandez.
Yeah, I know that Mr. Wolf is caught up on the $0. That's actually required by the state law for a 30-year tax abatement. The for-profit entity has to create the Urban Renewal LLC, which transfers to the nonprofit Urban Renewal for $0. So it's basically the same entity. That's why it's $0. And this is not residential. This is not residential at all. This is a recycling facility that provides many, many jobs.
Are you aware, Mr. Wolf, that this is not residential? Mr. Wolf? Mr. Wolf?
I was muted. No, thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate that very much.
I don't think that's a matter of clarification. I think that kind of questions your credibility on this subject.
Council President, there's no information on the city website. I appreciate your concern. There's no information for someone like me to find. And an open request takes 2 weeks.
I'm going to end this conversation right now, and I'm not going to entertain it in the future. Mr. Wolf, if you continue to do this, I will not entertain your speaking, right? Please don't find fault with the system and then bring up the system as a benefit, or vice versa.
No, I just want to be able to ask a question without being criticized. That's all.
Number 5,
Thank you.
please. Mr. Wolf, your time is up. Anyone else like to address us on 2410?
Let's move to close public comment.
Before I accept Councilman, Mr. Wolf, are we squared away? I don't want anyone to suggest that you did not have the full and open opportunity.
Yes, we are good. We are good. Yes, we are good.
I'm
yes,
sorry?
thank you. Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Council President. I'm good. Thank you.
Councilman Schwartz, you have
Motion to close.
motion to close. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Motion to close. There is a second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez.
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. On the ordinance, is there a maker, please? Motion and second. Roll call.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez.
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. We're up to communications, Roman numeral 8 on our discussion. Councilman Monk?
Yeah, I just want to make one comment, we just voted on. Based on the projections, currently the city receives around $75,000 from this property on a yearly basis. Based on these projections, in 10 years, we'll receive 4 times that. So, talking about taxes going up, I mean, it's definitely a benefit, for the city. You just looking at the even if the schedules are off by somewhat, we're looking just at doubling what the city gets by year 2. So I just want to make that comment.
Thank you, Councilman.
And if I may, just one other thing, Council President.
Councilman.
No one's suggesting to go throughout the city and giving every city an abatement, whether it's 30 years or 15 years or 10 years, whatever it is. But strategically, if you want to get an area that other people should start investing in it, you need to start somewhere. And sometimes it takes, one property here, another property there, to jumpstart a neighborhood that people should start investing their own money into it. And that's really the idea of these pilot programs.
Isn't that, if I may, Councilman, isn't that in fact the risk that is not being spoken about? The fact that you'll invest $1 million, $2 million, whatever the amount is. And although you might not pay any initial fee, you have at risk that amount of money that you put down.
Exactly. I mean, and this is not something that's just done here in Passaic. It's not something that's just done here in New Jersey. Actually, I was in Nashville, Tennessee this afternoon, and with a developer there who does a lot of development in Nashville. And he's in the middle of doing getting these pilots from the city of Nashville, to continue doing development and to push out the downtown area into areas that need, a shot in the arm. So this is something which is a national program. So I just wanted to make that comment.
We hope you invited him to come and visit Passaic.
That was the purpose of my trip.
With the council's permission, we're up to communications, Roman numeral 8 on our agenda. We have before us items 14 to 25. I'm sorry, 6 to 13. Are there any questions, please, on 6 to 13? We'll have a separate vote on number 8. If we can, please, is there a motion to accept number 8, please?
Move it.
Second.
Motion and second for number 8 only. Roll call.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez.
Yes.
And Council President Shear.
Before I give my vote, Councilwoman, I believe are you a current officer or former official?
I'm just a member.
Very good, thank you. I'll vote yes as well. I believe it's a unanimous vote.
Yes, sir.
On items 6 and 7, and 9 through 13, I'm sorry, 9 through 25. Are there any questions, please?
Council President 9 through 13.
I'm sorry, ma'am?
Just 6 and 7, and then 9 through 13.
Okay, 6 and 7 and
9 through 13.
9 through 13.
Move it. Second.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. And on items 14 through 25,
Move it.
are there any questions, please, on 14 through 25? Councilman?
Move it. Yeah.
Councilman Monk, move. Councilman Schwartz, second. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. We're up to resolutions. The first resolution is 26, authorizing a closed executive session of the city of Passaic. Do we need executive session tonight, sir?
No, Council
Mr. Fernandez?
No, Council President.
Members of the council? Very good. If we could continue, please, then, on items 27 through 51. Are there any questions, please, on 27 through 51?
Yeah.
Councilman Monk.
Thank you. I think I'm sorry, which one this was. If you get 45, demolishing a 3-story building. What is that?
So that is a building that we picked up through the COVID relief funds, right adjacent to the firehouse.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
And so we went through different iterations. We bid it out several times to try to rehab it. The costs were just too high. It's actually cheaper to knock it down and build a brand new building.
Good. Okay. And the 46, what type of upgrade, technology upgrades for health department?
Right, so if you recall the meeting, not the last one, the one before, we had a long list of items that they were gonna, like the screens, the computers, right? So that was to get the funding applied for. Now it's awarded and these are the expenditures. I think it's in this first tranche, it's like 200-some thousand for the first tranche of the $700,000 we received from the state.
This is all bid out? It was all bid
Oh,
out?
yes, sir. Absolutely. Anything of this magnitude has to have or be on state contract. So when we say bid out, the process was followed so that we can award these items.
Right. Also, let's go back to item 31, which is a contract for towing. So anyone awarded to tow for the city has to meet those strict guidelines that were passed by the city council back in terms of the opening on Sunday, right? And
Yeah, so-
the hours when people can retrieve their car, all those things that we stipulated to make life easier for people, owners of these cars. Everyone has to follow those guidelines.
So just a little way of background. So these 5 entities would not have made it to this council meeting without a full vetting of the police department. There was a sergeant assigned to these companies. They went out, checked every single company, checked that they had the number of spots in our ordinance, right? That everything that was in the ordinance specified to that either they had, or if it was like an agreement, that it's in the agreement so that they met every item that the council
But
passed. and the mayor
besides for like physical space, and
Mhm.
requirements, there's also, I think we had
hours of operation, days to get
availability.
release the vehicles. Yeah,
Right.
all that was.
And as well as fees, as well as all the fees are in there as well?
Yeah, so the fees are actually in the ordinance and have to be abided by law. If not, they can lose the contract. So one of the things that the mayor had directed me to do and asked the legal team is that the severability clause be very clear that if they don't meet any of these items, their contract is cut.
And how long is this contract for? These contracts for?
So I believe it's per year. Is that correct?
That's right.
So it's
a one-year
yearly.
contract.
Yeah.
The 1 year.
With each one of the 5 companies.
Yes.
And just, I know that, I realize that the 2 towing companies that are in Clifton are pretty close to the borders of Passaic, but why would we want to, I mean, we always talk about, trying to steer business to local companies. Since we have options here locally, why would we even want to go to the border, even by 1 block? And, and give business to, I'm not against giving business to Clifton, don't get me wrong, but we try to keep it as much
Yeah,
as
so these
possible.
are within 1 mile of the border.
Right, I understand the
Based
proximity.
on the.
I understand the logic of the proximity, that people can get their cars and they get it, so on and so forth, but this thing about pushing business to
Property taxes.
to owners that, pay taxes here and so on and so forth, we have options. Why would we want additional?
So the process was every towing company that was registered within a mile and every single company that was in the city of Passaic was notified that this was happening.
I understand, but we don't have to award it. We don't have to give it to towing companies in Clifton. There's 3 that are Passaic that need it. So I'm just wondering, why would we? Don't we want to keep it as much local as possible?
So just going back to the mayor's comments, we want to have as much flexibility as possible. And I could tell you that the 2 towers from Clifton are Clifton towers that do all the towing already and have a reputation for doing the towing. That was vetted through the police department. So they were added to the list to continue on the rotation, even though there's.
I understand, but it still
Doesn't address the.
it doesn't address the
question.
issue of that we want to give business to local companies. That's.
And we're doing that. 3 of them are
So
from the
why
city of
not
Passaic.
only keep, why only keep
And then,
Passaic?
and then, because it was a combination of items, it wasn't just giving them to the city of Passaic, it was also the service and everyone that, would be called in the rotation so that, there's more flexibility for the city within that. So if there's an issue with one, you go to the next one. So the number of towers, that's why the number of towers.
I understand, but I guess, why don't we, for many years, we had 1. So I understand, the mayor's issue should have flexibility. So why don't we go from 1 to 3? And if that's still not enough, then go outside the city. That's, why don't we just try to keep it if it works? If it doesn't work, if the rotation doesn't work and the service is not good and we need to go to Clifton, got to go to Garfield, got to go to Toto.
Well, you can't do that. They wouldn't meet the ordinance
Well,
if you did that.
my point is that we're going from one to 3 is we're tripling the options. We always stress about keeping business here. And
But that, I could say that in the reverse, right? So you have the 5, let's try the 5. There's at least the ones from Clifton are tried and true in Clifton, so we know them. That you look, and if I can, just Council President.
It's not a question of, I'm not hearing from the councilman that it's a question of quality or input or anything else. Well, I'm hearing simply in the matter of that we're so often spoken to by constituents, and that is in terms of property taxes. Why are we using someone who's paying property taxes to Clifton and not Passaic?
So understand,
Please.
if I could just finish my thought, right? We then don't have to go back through the process if this happens throughout the year, right? So if there's an issue with any of the towers, that can be happen right now without stopping service, right? So let's say under that, one of the Passaic towers is a problem, right? Not that we know that, but let's say they are. We don't have to go in mid-year, have to go through another process again. It's already done, and you could just go to the next one. So it's an issue that we didn't load it up with people from out of town. This is a pilot for all of us, right? So we have the opportunity to be seamless. If there's an issue with one of them, we could just go to the next one and giving ourselves that opportunity. Understanding what it is you're saying, and I think everybody knows the mayor is in that, but one of the biggest points was to have the flexibility and the ability, if there's a problem with one, to be able to go to the other one. And that's kind of why this was done the way it was. And it was very well vetted, understanding the council's concerns through the police department. I know the councilman's point. I just wanted to make sure that you understood kind of the position and where we were with it. That if there is an issue, now is the issue. Then if there's no problem, if this is only a 1-year contract, if there's no issue and the council feels strongly that the 3 of them did a job, that then we can reconsider that later. But right now, I mean, let's see what happens.
Forgive me, Mr. Fernandez, I think that we might be talking at cross purposes here. What you're stating is in terms of the quality of the company, in terms of its service delivery. I don't think anyone is questioning that at all. I think the only question that Councilman Monk raised, and please correct me, Councilman, if I'm wrong, is that we speak so often and so highly of using our local talent, local abilities, as a way of keeping things into the town, but the new jobs, et cetera. Three of these companies pay property taxes to the city of Passaic, two of them do not. Right? Why are we using companies that don't? Councilman Schwartz?
Yeah, I don't know that it's an issue so much as having the ability to use Clifton companies. I think it's more of a question procedurally, administratively, what criteria is used to decide which of the five or however number of vendors qualify, which one gets the call in what order. And perhaps administratively, it's the priority should be given to the Passaic vendors, unless there's a reason why. Certainly, it makes sense to have the flexibility to be able to go outside the city when it's necessary, but administratively, the procedure for deciding who gets the call, one of the factors which should favor the Passaic companies over the other ones, provided that they're available, meet the requirements, and there's no reason why we need to go outside it. I think that's more of what we're getting to.
Other comments? Councilman Monk?
So what are the procedures in terms of picking? Then, like, okay, it comes Monday morning. It comes next week, the following week. What is the process that will be used?
All right, so I'll ask the chief to help me out on this if I am incorrect. I think the idea was that each of them get a day unless there's a major issue on a call. So for example, if there's a massive car accident and they need all five of them to go out, God forbid, then all five of them would go out. If there's just a massive issue, then it's all hands on deck, everybody go out. If not, the rotation would be, let's say, daily. So all the calls would go to the one company, and then the next day and the next day. And remember, one day there could be one call, one day there could be 50 calls. You don't know, right, the average of how many calls are going to be on any day of your shift. So at the end of the day, the rotation then balances itself out. Chief, did I explain that correctly?
So Monday is 1, Tuesday is 2, Thursday is number 5, and Friday is number 1 again, and Saturday is number 2 again?
Yeah.
So we're giving Clifton businesses as much business as we're giving.
But there's also like a time limit, right? So if you get a call and they don't answer within a couple of minutes, then they're skipped and the next company goes out. So it doesn't, so if there's a call on that day and remember, we're talking about sometimes very like incident specific, but if you call up and nobody's answering the phone, they go to the next one on the list, and that's part of the process, right? And then the next one, and they get skipped. Right? They'll get skipped. So it's in their best interest to provide the appropriate service. If not, they'll get skipped until the next round.
So I'm one of the five. Tuesday is my day. I don't pick up the phone at one point. Do I lose business for the rest of that day?
Yeah.
But the next day that I'm up, I get business. I can.
Right. But if it happens too often, right? So let's say you never pick up the phone, then you're off the list and you don't get called at all. Right? So if there's a number of calls and the police is tired of calling and they never get an answer, then they're off the list. That's the flexibility of the rotation. Like the issue is if you get one, you got nowhere to go. But if you have multiple, then you just skip them and go to the next one.
So let's say there's a major accident, God forbid, right? And there's 3, 4, whatever it is. So the police department calls three towers. We need everyone here, right? So now, how does it work? Who gets to pull the cars?
All of them, and they all get a tow slip.
But I'm saying, but they come there and 4 towers show up, and only 2 cars need to be towed.
No, that doesn't work like that. No, that's assessed by the police department when they're there on scene. That's not like that. No, but if they go to scene and there's 15 cars and the one tower can only tow 4 cars at that moment, then they get tow slips, and then each person who gets towed gets a slip that tells you exactly where to go to pick up your vehicle based on that. And then all the charges, because our ordinance is the way it is all the same unless there's like special equipment. Like if you had the big tractor trailer, then you're in a different boat than, let's say, a minivan or a regular car.
I still don't understand why 3 is not enough to try. I understand the logic of, 5, 10 is better than 5, right? And 5 is better than 3, and 3 is better than 1. But I don't know why we would go out and give business to other municipalities when we don't even know if the 3 won't work, if it won't be enough. I understand what you're trying to accomplish, that there should always be someone on call and answering the phone right away. But we're always pushing, always talking about, business Passaic, 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 Passaic. And here, people could always point, well, your city itself doesn't do that, so why should I? And it's just,
I appreciate all the comments that we've heard tonight on the issue. Are there any suggestions in terms of how we can go forward and meet the concerns?
is this time sensitive for this?
Yes.
I don't want to put you in a difficult position, Mr. Fernandez. I'm trying to find a way to deal with this also, right? Would the administration consider only using those towing companies that are Passaic-based domiciled?
So I'm going to have to defer. I could tell you that this is what the administration is proposing. I got to tell you that I have to defer to legal because in our ordinance, it specifically says within a mile of our border. So I don't want to, I'm now getting into different waters that I don't want to express. I could tell you, and the council's heard it at length, and the mayor made it very clear, he's not here. I don't want to put any words in his mouth. I could tell you that if the council could be so kind as to try it out as we have it, and if there's an issue, back off, if that's possible. If not, I'll have to defer to the attorney because I don't know legally with everyone that was vetted and put before the council meeting the ordinance requirements. I don't want to state something that then I can't back up.
Right. Yes, thank you. I think we should accept it the way it is right now. If it doesn't work, we can always change it.
So what if we would, Councilman, with your permission, what if we would take that thought and extend it perhaps a little further and say that in 30 days, we'd like to review the subject again, given additional comments and concerns? Mr. Fernandez, would that be acceptable to the administration?
So
It
pass
would
it,
be-
but with a 30-day
The
review
resolution would
period?
stand, the resolution would stand as it is, but there would be a review process in 30 days to see about issues that came up, including the issue that the councilman has been raising.
So a 30-day review of the towers that were on this list. I mean,
30 days of review of the experience of the city of Passaic with these towers, and not only their experience, but also any other factors that may come into the play, which is what Councilman Muck, I believe, was referring to. Councilman?
Yeah, I would. I'm not gonna play attorney here, but I would imagine once we sign these contracts, they're 1-year contracts. Now the question is, they can have a 1-year contract, but there's no obligation for the city of Passaic to call them. So they have a 1-year contract that if they're called, they have to follow the contract. But I would imagine it doesn't say anywhere in the contract that we are obligated to call them. So
which kind of goes into Councilman Schwartz's policy.
Yeah,
on
right, exactly. So we could vote on this tonight, and then we could just ask the administration if we could, whether it's 30 days, 60 days, to get a review of how the 3 vendors from Passaic, what can it work, and so on and so forth, does not give us the obligation to use the 2 from Clifton.
I have my light on. I don't know if it's working, but
Yes, it's working.
Okay.
Councilman.
the ordinance, does it have that you have to call in the order, like Clifton, Passaic?
So it's a resolution,
Right.
not an ordinance. This is for the contract to abide by our ordinance. But that is, the rotation is a policy issue, right? So either they can flip a coin, you know what I mean, to how do we get the list? So there are some policies that would be put in place by the police department on how the calls would occur and who would be the first on the call, or if it's on a per call basis or a daily basis. It makes more sense on a daily basis unless there's a catastrophic situation.
Councilman Schwartz?
On average, how many cars be towing over on a typical week?
Chief?
Over the course of a year, approximately 250. If we break that down over.
On average, it's less than one a day. Okay.
So I was watching the discussion, and I don't think 30 days is enough. I think a year is fair. We could do a study and figure it out then.
The problem is, again, we're dealing with cross purposes, it seems to me. And I think we have some obligations here all around the board.
Or we could do it as a call by call basis and then evaluate it that way instead of daily. It could be call to call.
There needs to be an opportunity for the city to reconsider the way that it's going, as it always has. You know, again, the argument for making it not specific to Passaic, obviously there are issues there. If there is a review period, the review period allows us to take everything into consideration, it would seem to me, yes? With the council's permission, I'm going to ask on number 31 that there be a caveat added, and that is that 60 days from now, that all the companies will be subject to review process based upon information that the administration will provide to the council. I think that's open-ended enough, Councilman Monk. Is that to the pleasure?
It's fine with me, but if it's a contract, don't we have to go for a year?
Well,
At least
we
know
heard
next
from our
year.
attorney just a few moments ago that we have to fulfill only what we have to fulfill. We're not legally required to give them names, correct?
Correct. Would you like this resolution also then to amend those contracts to include this probationary period?
I don't think we should play with that.
Not necessarily.
Let's leave it. Let's just be.
Not necessarily.
Let's not, guess that gets very messy.
Mr. Fernandez, that allows us to pass the resolution tonight, which I think the administration I know is keen on. Yet it gives us a chance to continue the conversation, which obviously I'm anxious that the council be provided with. That is the motion. Is there a second to my amendment?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call on the amendment as well as the rest of 31, the original corpus.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. Are there any other resolutions that members of the council have questions or concerns about? Is there a motion then to accept items 27 through 30 and 32 through 51? Hearing none, is there a motion, please, to accept? Motion. Chair will second for purposes of vote.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. Ordinances for introduction and first reading, number 52. An ordinance authorizing the city of Passaic to sell real property designated on the tax maps of the city of Passaic as blocks 500.03, lot 1.03 pursuant to New Jersey Local Redevelopment and Housing Law, NJSA 40A:12A-1 et sec. Is there a motion, please, to accept, to sit down for second and final reading on September 19? Motion, is there a second, please? Chair will second for purposes of the vote. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Shay.
Yes, thank you. Number 53, please. A proposed ordinance amending the designation of restricted parking for disabled persons by New Jersey license plate number. Is there a motion to accept for set down for second and final reading at our meeting of September 19? A motion, please. Second, please.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call.
Councilman Monk.
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Shay.
Yes, thank you. Number 54, please. Proposed ordinance amending city code of the city of Passaic. Chapter 295, vehicles and traffic. Article 12, schedules, section 23. Schedule 4, meter time limit parking to create additional metered parking in the city of Passaic. Is there a motion, please, to accept for set down for second and final reading at our meeting of September 19? Motion, is there a second, please?
Second.
Motion and second, thank you. Roll call.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Shay.
Yes, thank you. Payment of bills. Are there any questions on the bills? Seeing none, is there a motion, please, to accept the bills as presented to the clerk?
Motion to accept?
Motion, is there a second? Chair will second for purposes of the vote. Roll call.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colon Montañez,
Yes.
and Council President Shay.
Yes, thank you. Administrators report.
None at this time.
Very good. Councilman Monk?
Yeah, thank you, Council President. You know, this, with the abatements, the 30-year abatements, 15-year abatements. And how many years ago we started that? 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
The abatements was since like
These the pilot programs.
2006.
So it's almost like 15, 16,
A
17 years.
long year, long.
So I think it would be very interesting, and it could be, the administration already has done this, to go back to the first 10 years of pilots that we've done, look at the projections that were made at that time, you know, what taxes will look like, you know, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and 15 years, right? A lot of these projections, I'm sorry?
Did it match? Did it stack up as we?
To see if it stacked up.
I don't know if the city would have that ability.
Why we have,
But maybe the county or the state certainly would.
well, we have our projections, they're all in our, it comes with every ordinance, it's with there.
So I can only give you the ones from 2011 forward because I know I did those projections. So I could look at those, from 2010 on.
It'd be a very interesting study to see these projections that were made by developers and so on and so forth of what they're going to end up paying, you know, based on percentages of income, gross income, or based percentages on, you know, the pilot and so on and so forth. And to see is it 80% correct? Are we ahead? Are we always behind? If we're always behind, what percentage?
Do we really want to know those answers, Council?
I'll let you know after I see the numbers.
And remember, the numbers are always a year delayed.
Yeah, but
because they have to true up at the
It'll
end
be
of
a
every.
very interesting very interesting report to see how all these things actually pan.
It would be fascinating.
Yeah. Can we trouble the administration?
It may take a while
I
because there's a lot of data. But
Well, you know,
I'll discuss it with the mayor and.
Your desk is clean.
Yeah, there's nothing on it. Don't worry about it.
Well, the projections are all on the piece of paper, all in the ordinance, it's right there.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just the calculations from the tax collector. It's collecting the data and then analyzing.
Yeah, but we know what they paid every year.
Yeah.
With a push of a button. So you take out any property that had it, push a button for the last 10 years they paid in taxes, and we take that one sheet from the ordinance and just match it up.
I love how simple you make the process. I tell you.
I don't know, with all these computer systems, millions of dollars of computer systems that we pay for in software, it gotta be that easy today.
We do know how much they pay in taxes and we'll have to reconcile those.
You reconcile it.
Yeah,
yeah. Should be, it's doable, it shouldn't be that bad. Okay, that's just my thought of the day.
Anyone else have any comments? That being the case, is there a motion please to adjourn?
Move it.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn, please. Roll call.
It'd be
Councilman
fascinating
Monk,
to see. Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia, Councilwoman Colon Montañez, and Council President Shay.
Yes, thank you. Meeting is adjourned.